Hello.
Hello
there.
Welcome to Actual Play UK. My name is Josh Fox. My pronouns are he and him, and I am your host tonight. I would like to introduce you to my fellow players, but first, let me tell you to follow and subscribe Actual Play UK here on Twitch, or if you're watching it later on YouTube. And yeah, let's get on with the show. My podcast is Black Armada Tales. We are an actual play podcast doing cute little indie games with a relaxed vibe. I will introduce Beth. Why don't you go first and introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Beth Crane. My pronouns are she, her, and I write and star in We Fix Space Junk, a sci-fi fiction podcast about two female repairmen in space, very broke, and trying to avoid being killed. Thank you.
Nice. I'm going in alphabetical order, so Dan.
Oh God, that's me. Hi, I'm Dan. I'm Dan. My pronouns are he, him. I am part of the Brit Twits. There's three of us. We're three. That's how you do three. We're on YouTube, Twitch, we're everywhere at Brit Twits or Brit_Twits on most things. But yeah, we do a lot of video game stuff. We're going to be moving into TTRPG stuff very soon, hopefully.
Nice.
If things go well.
Super. Yeah. And Nick.
Hello, my name is Nick Munro-Turner, pronouns he, him. I am a content writer and games designer, and just started a startup project called Rogue Octopus Gaming Lab, which is going to be all about creating games, promoting creators, playing games, and basically producing uplifting content all about video games and tabletop RPGs.
Amazing.
That's cool. So
Nice.
What makes an octopus rogue?
It doesn't do what you tell it to.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Sweet.
I've heard octopuses are like that.
Yeah.
They are.
They can open jars.
They're very clever.
You
Yeah.
could do a whole podcast about them. You really could. But we won't do that because we're here to play a game.
Well, what else are we doing tonight?
There will be tentacles, though, probably. It's Lovecraft.
Could be. It is possible. So we are here to play Lovecraftesque, a game what I wrote. It is currently crowdfunding on backerkit. So just switch this off, go and back that, and then come back. That would be great.
We'll wait for you.
Yeah.
How long do you reckon it'll take them?
Go do that.
Yeah.
Which is some elevator music.
A couple of minutes.
Do, 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 do.
Right. Let us. What I'm going to do, we have got an icebreaker question coming, which is very exciting, but I'm going to save that for an apt point after I've introduced the game a little bit. So, what this is, Lovecraftesque, it is a storytelling game of creeping eldritch horror. We're going to be creating a mystery like unto what H.P. Lovecraft might have written himself, were he not a massive racist and were he still alive somehow. That kind of a story. Imagine that. We will be taking turns to introduce a strange clue into the life of our main character. And as we play, the mystery is going to build up and eventually we will drive it to a horrible conclusion where our main character gets utterly foobarred. So that's going to be great. We are going to find out who our main character is and all the details of that very shortly. But first, let's have that question. So the question, this is part of the game. Now, I didn't just make this up for the stream. We're going to share one weird thing. It can be something strange or inexplicable that happened to you, a story you once heard, or a book, movie, or other piece of media that you enjoyed. It should be something that puts you in mind of mysteries, weirdness, or horror. And you should tell everyone about the experience and what made it weird. I'll go first, if that's okay.
Yeah.
I have a stock one that I keep in my back pocket for this because it really is very weird. When I was a teenager, I used to travel to college on a bus. And one day, as I was sat on the bus, I looked out the window and the sky had gone weird. It looked as though someone had spilled oil on the sky and like kind of rainbow colors were swirling on the sky. Like not in a rainbow way, but in a weird, shouldn't be there way.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it really happened, whether I fell asleep and dreamed it, because it does seem very weird to me now. But that's my weird thing.
Cool.
I'm going to keep it in
Yeah.
alphabetical order. So, oh, Dan, do you want to jump in?
Oh no, I was just like, yeah, that is weird. I agree, but sure, no, I'll jump in. It's fine. So when I was in secondary school, as I think I was 13 probably, we were doing a drama piece and we were filming it in. There's like a woods next to my school. So we were doing it in there, and we were doing a horror movie, and it was supposed to be really scary. Well, it wasn't, because we were very bad. But have you guys seen baby barn owls?
Yes.
And how they look entirely like aliens. So
Most
we were
baby
filming this thing,
Yeah, I know what you mean.
and behind the killer was two baby barn owls on one of the branches, and we didn't notice it until we went to look at the edit, and I think the collective of us screamed in the edit room, and we're like, what the hell is that? What the hell is that? What are those things? And we had to take it to our teacher, and she's like, those are barn owls. They're not. They're aliens. What the hell's wrong with you? So that I will always remember that, and I'll always remember the fear. That's all I can say.
That's awesome. I love that. I'm going to go to Nick just to mess
Messing around.
Nick can go. Nick, go.
Sure, yeah, mix it up. Your question kind of put me in mind of something that happened when I was about 10. We had a friend round to the house, and it was a kind of a sleepover, and it was a storm started brewing, and this boy sometimes suddenly got really despondent and sort of wasn't really responding to much, and just after a while, so suddenly put his head up and said, "I feel it. I feel my powers rising." And I was like, "What? You okay?" I can't remember exactly what he said after that, but as if to demonstrate, he clicked his fingers, and suddenly a bolt of lightning came down outside, and we were freaking out.
Amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean,
I think you met Ford.
looking back,
I think.
Just had a lot
just
of
looking
cameras.
back, yeah. I'm not sure what happened to him after that, but yeah.
It's Secret Destiny. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
He did have a weird collection of hammers, right? That was I didn't think about that
He
before.
did.
And his brother who had horns. And
Yeah,
was
strange.
from Hiddleston.
Right.
Amazing.
Nice.
So I once sat behind a zombie on a bus.
Yep.
Cool.
Potentially. So I used to work in a pathology lab when I was younger. So I'm really, really used to the smell of formaldehyde. Like, it's a very distinctive scent. You don't smell it in many places. And I got on a bus, and the guy in front of me was very, very old and absolutely reeked of formaldehyde. And yeah, could have been a zombie. Not really sure. I don't have that many spooky things, really. One of my main hauntings turned out to be a program called Duck City. So
just muttering brains underneath his breath the entire way home.
Yeah, I mean, it was Norwich. That wasn't that abnormal, really, but you know.
I don't know, that's pretty weird. We did originally have a rule where we then have to like judge whose is the weirdest to determine who gets to be first player, but I got rid of that because it takes ages to work out what's weirdest. So whose is most recent? That's the question. Everyone's gone for stuff when they were young, so I'm thinking.
Mine's like 2012.
Oh, so you, yeah. So mine was. Oh, hang on. So mine was. Yeah, mine was early 2000s. I was 30, yeah, so 18 years ago. So.
Mine's ages ago. So Beth, you are the lucky first player.
Well done, Beth.
Get ready to do something first later on. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we're doing with this game, we're going to be using a scenario that was written for the game by a designer called Nick Bate. He's an excellent person. Has written all sorts of cool games like Stealing the Throne, game about mecha heists. So you should check those out. But anyway, he's written this scenario called The Outer Gods. And I will read out the premise of The Outer Gods. If someone would stop flipping the cards over.
Sorry. I hit the wrong button. I'm sorry. Didn't mean to.
So the year is 23XX. humanity has colonized the solar system aboard living vessels that tear space-time to enable interplanetary travel. Monette is one such live ship, a salvager investigating the reappearance of a lost generation ship, the dead ship Yog-Sothoth. The Yog set out a century ago, crewed by cultists in search of the outer gods. Except the Monette, all scenario locations are aboard the Yog-Sothoth. So to keep things interesting, I suggest we take turns to read out a location. I'm going to go in alphabetical order, so Beth, do you want to start?
The Monette, a squid-like salvage live ship trained to secure wrecks in its tentacles. The crew live inside its body. Steel plating bolted to its flesh provides stable work surfaces and anchor points for the crew's magnetic boots. Includes a cramped barracks and mess, sundry workshops and storage vaults, and a nerve centre where the captain commands the Monette.
You've done this before.
Yeah, I have. Podcaster.
That's incredible.
Through the audio dramas.
So Dan, you're up.
I have not done this before. A huge glass dome at the bow of the vessel. Staring into the darkness of space ahead, telescopes and sensors are available to aid the naked eye. God. A raised platform and a long, thin cantilever floats in the middle of the chamber like a pulpit. Tiered seating sufficient to hold the ship's full crew complement.
Nick.
All right, I will do my best. Chart room. Originally intended as a repository for navigation charts and ship's logs, this large cabin has been turned into a personal library, including many rare and obscure works. The center of the room is dominated by a massive desk. One set of shelves is filled with model ships sealed behind locked glass doors.
Nice. Remember, these are all on board the Yog-Sothoth, including this last one, the Mausoleum. A vast, dimly lit space with a vaulted ceiling and row upon row of mechanical sarcophagi. The bodies of the ship's deceased crew lie here during the long haul between destinations, awaiting resurrection for their turn on watch. So that is the setting and locations. I'll now reveal the main character, which we will be taking turns to play, and that is Rana Khoury, who is an explorer at heart, born in an age where explorers are viewed with suspicion and fear. As soon as she was old enough, she joined the Monette to see the stars, despite the difficult and often dangerous work. A lowly hauler on one of Vandergaard's salvage crews, she likes to sing to keep her spirits up. And if we could go through the secondary characters as well, same order.
Mm-hmm. Captain Volkova, distant and strange. Captain of the Monette, a distant figure feared and loved by the crew in each equal measure. Emaciated from decades in space, her body is held aloft by a baroque exoskeleton. Rarely seen outside the ship's nerve center, her voice is a harsh whisper, transmitted through. Nobody knows Monette.
Okay, so Lavinia Vandergaard, grizzled and superstitious. Leader of the Monette's salvage crews, Lavinia is always the first to board a wreck. Her scars attest to the countless accidents, traps, and ambushes she has survived. Her ancient breaching suit is adorned with talismans and runes from dozens of cults and sects. She has a wife and children on the Artos station.
She sounds so cool.
Yeah, she's
Nick?
All right,
you do
and Priest Navigator Enoch. Priest Navigator Enoch, zealous and uncompromising. Monette's Priest Navigator protects the crew during long voyages via ritual and prayer. Enoch has no time for casual blasphemy, believing it places the ship in mortal peril. He was ordained by the Church of Starry Wisdom, a cult which worships one of the outer gods.
Nice. So that is our set of locations and characters that were given by the scenario, and we can use those at any time during the game. We can make more up. We can do whatever we like, basically. So that just gives you an idea of where we are and a kind of starting premise for the game. And what we're going to do during the game, we will take turns to occupy 3 different roles. And the roles are narrator, who is essentially the GM of each scene. And the narrator's responsibility will be to introduce a clue during that scene for most of the game. Then we have the witness. The witness is the person who plays the main character. And again, that works kind of like most role-playing games. You're gonna play that character as if they were your PC in the game. But there is a third role, which is different from the typical RPG experience, and that is the Whisperers. So the job of the Whisperers is to add in cool atmospheric detail and support the narrator. So some crucial things to understand about the Whisperer. They are not responsible for introducing clues, and you should be careful not to introduce anything that is too strange, lest you steal the narrator's thunder and introducing something so weird that they have to adopt it as their clue. That's not cool, don't do that. But what you can do is when the narrator pauses, add in a bit of extra atmospheric detail, a bit of extra texture or colour to what they're saying. You can also be asked by the narrator questions to add cool details to their scenes, or because there's something that's kind of stumped them for a moment, maybe they might want to draw on your creativity. And finally, the narrator can ask you to play secondary characters if they want to. Now, when you are a narrator, it's quite cool to ask a Whisperer to play a secondary character. Don't do that if you wanted to use that secondary character to introduce a clue, obviously. Otherwise, they're not going to know what to do because they don't know what's in your head. And that's the basic way the game works. After each scene, we will rotate the roles around, so whoever was last witness will become narrator, and someone who was a Whisperer will become witness, and so on.
I think the only person that's allowed to steal thunder is that guy that Nick spoke about earlier. Just with clicks of fingers. That's the only time anyone's allowed to steal thunder here.
And he absolutely can do that, it sounds like, so we should probably be really careful not to upset that guy.
I mean, he's probably not watching, so...
Yeah, he might be watching, we don't know. If you are watching, we believe in you.
Yeah. Please don't bring down the wrath of the sky.
Yeah, please no.
Yeah.
And so, Beth, because you won the lottery of weirdness, you are going to get to be the first narrator, which means you will need to invent a clue. So I'm just telling you that now because I'm going to explain how a scene works and a few rules that apply to those scenes, and I'll hopefully give you enough time to think. But the first thing I'm going to mention is we've each got in our hands, or virtually in our hands, a pair of cards. These could be clue cards or special cards, and the clue cards in particular provide prompts for you to come up with your clue. All clues have to either be based on a clue card or building on or elaborating on and extending someone else's clue that's already happened. So at this point, Beth is going to have to go with something based on a card.
Okay.
I'm just going to chuck a few rule cards out in our virtual tabletop so everyone can see what those are. So I've already described the clue rule. Clues are bound by 2 other rules at this stage of the game, and this will change at the midpoint. The first rule is the creeping horror rule, which says essentially anything you reveal clues-wise and any horror that happens has to be subject to doubt. So the weird stuff has to be, if it's supernatural or bizarre, it can only be encountered indirectly. There shouldn't be any direct accounts of the supernatural unless they're from a source that can be doubted or dismissed, and it should be possible to rationalise as normal anything the witness sees. The witness may not acknowledge the possibility of the supernatural at this stage of the game, so it's all meant to be kind of low-key and puzzling, vexing, but not very clearly supernatural. The other rule that the clues and everything else has to obey is the no deliberate harm rule, and that is simply that nobody can describe deliberate physical or psychological harm being inflicted on any human, nor any clear evidence of this. Nobody can threaten or attempt deliberate harm to the main character, and the main character cannot die.
Okay.
All of these rules, by the way, can be broken if you have a special card that says they can be broken. So if you've got a card in your hand that says special hand and describes a rule that can be broken, you may be able to play it and mess with this simple formula. Few other ones to mention. The isolation rule, we don't show each other the cards in our hands, and we don't discuss the direction the story is going. That is because we will each be coming up with our own theory of what's going on and using that to guide our contributions, and I'll explain more about that very shortly. Finally, is it final? No, yes it is. Finally, the risk rule, I'll just mention. Anybody at any time can say, I think that's a risky thing for the main character to do. And at that point, we would activate the risk rule. And essentially, to summarize, we will crowdsource the risks that apply and the narrator will choose some of them to inflict on the main character. You don't need to know the rest of the details, but if anybody thinks, hey, they're doing something risky, then we'll read that rule out in detail when that happens. That is it for rules, I think.
Excellent.
I'm just going to whiz through these cards here without reading them to make sure that I haven't forgotten anything. Got your mystery cards. Right, brilliant. So, if you are ready, Beth, you will be framing a scene. Now, the person next in the alphabet from you will be the witness, so that means, Dan, you get to be the witness.
Yay!
And that means that me and Nick are whisperers for the first scene.
Okay. Okay, so the Yog-Sothoth has been floating in space for countless time. Once a squid-like ship, much like the Monette, the Yog-Sothoth has died. Its tentacles curling in on itself, its eye dried, crusted over with white, and its skin shredding, leaving dried, exposed, leathery parts open to the air. And the Monette is docking against it, pulling tendrils around the ports that would have been used hundreds of years ago to load the ship. Almost like a creature digging into a piece of prey, but not enjoying the taste. Our crew walk through the entrance into a dank, dark hallway, aged with the smell of old salt and sweat and panic. And the first thing that they encounter is a mess hall. Apparently the first place you'd reach while boarding the ship. It's dark and dimly lit, but the tables are clean, a little too clean, and spread across tables and tables, enough to feed the whole ship, is a freshly made meal.
Okay. I think to begin with, I think Rana would be massively excited. I don't think she would have ever seen one of these ships die before. Like the concept of a ship dying would be alien to her. So it'd be the idea that she's seeing this for the first time and probably feeling like she's probably the first person in her circle that would ever have seen something like this. So she'd probably be like exceptionally excited. And as she goes forward into the ship with Lavinia, she probably is being stopped by Lavinia because she's probably trying to get too quick.
She's just holding her back.
Exactly, to being held back. Like, no, no, this might be dangerous. We don't know what's gone on here. And obviously Lavinia being like the leader of this, very much like she's used to like traps and stuff going off. So like it's the whole, she's like, so the idea that Rana being incredibly excited about this, and then once she sees the meal, she's like, but this has been dead for like time immemorial. How is the food fresh?
Yeah. There's still drinks in the cups. There's a slight smell to the food. It makes it seem like it was almost laid out 5 minutes ago. It smells freshly cooked. It's their mouths water. Used to ship rations. This is fresh food. This is meat and fruit and vegetables and stews and wine and beer.
She'd probably turn to the other crewmates and be like, so this is fine, right? This is what fresh food is like. Maybe fresh food in this world just exists for time immemorial. I guess maybe if it's cooked properly, it doesn't go wrong. Maybe we're so used to rations that this is what food is. Like maybe it just takes this. Maybe it just lasts this long. If it's cooked properly, we don't know. She's probably never had fresh food. Like she's grown up as an explorer. She's probably never had actual freshly cooked meal anywhere. So this could be brand new to her too.
I think one of the other salvagers who's a bit more experienced just shakes their head in disbelief at this prattling, rambling justification.
Yeah. Would you want to play Lavinia?
Oh, sure. Yeah. I think Lavinia says, just cool it, kid. This is a little strange. We'll figure out what's going on. Don't worry. Spread out. Explore. Keep together in pairs. And report back regularly what's going on here. If you see anything like this, anything strange, I want to know about it.
Guessing that means don't eat the food.
I don't know, the food is alluring. There's steak, there's anything that would make your mouth water.
You guessed right. Nobody fracking touches that food. Not until we've analysed it.
But you're hungry. You're really hungry. Did you skip breakfast? Is that a thing that you did today? You can't remember.
Rana will go and investigate the food. I think she'd actually go a little bit closer to it and sort of see how it's been plated up, sort of thing, and see. I presume they've got some form of scanner, maybe, just to see how old the scanner says the food is, because they know it to be an age. They can't really put a time on. They know it's a long time, but if the scanner says it's less old, that could be interesting.
What does she scan first?
The beer.
The beer. The beer is made from a form of wheat that went extinct 5,000 years ago. But it's also fresh.
Cool. I think she just blurts that out immediately. She's like, just without even like processing what that means. She very says, "This is like a 5,000-year-old. They must have managed to clone it. That's so cool. How did they do that?"
I think Lavinia is gonna like take Rana to one side and say, "Look, I get it. This is very strange. You're new to this. I need you to keep your head.
All right,
you're gonna freak people out. You're gonna freak."
Sorry.
Nick, would you like to play the role of Enoch?
I was just wondering if Enoch would come aboard to, says he's supposed to protect the voyages through ritual and prayer, so going into this dangerous place, I think he'd be along.
What do you think of the cult signs that are scrawled across the walls? Some of them neat, carved into place, done by artists. Some of them just a little more Desperate. They could have been scratched with cutlery, even with nails.
These are unholy. These carvings, they're not recognized by the Church of Starry Wisdom. These are from religions that were proven to be untrue long, long ago.
Something catches your eye. It's a symbol from the Church of Starry Wisdom. Looks like it was scratched in with a blade, intermingled with all of the other old gods.
But this is impossible. There, right there. A symbol, the Church of Starry Wisdom, but it is intermingled with all these false gods. How could this be? I think he's going to look around to see if there are any more signs of the Church of Starry Wisdom.
They're everywhere, in equal measure with all of the other outer gods.
This place is old. We shouldn't be surprised if there are things that don't completely make sense. People did things differently back then.
Sure, like cook fresh food when this place has been dead for thousands of years. That's normal. Sure.
The feast in front of you.
Before we go any further, I must insist that this area be purified.
Fine, do what you gotta do.
And how do you purify the area?
He is going to unseal a jar of holy salts, and he is going to kind of get it with a wet brush and just start spraying the unholy sigils whilst chanting a ritual from the Church of Starry Wisdom about letting go of the old and embracing the new.
I think while this is going on, Rana's going to walk round with a notebook and scribble in every single symbol she sees, just in and try and figure out a pattern. But while she's doing that, she'll put an arrow to the Starry Wisdom sigil that she knows because she recognizes it, and just write on it S.W, and then continue trying to figure out if there's a pattern.
Do you expect anything to happen during the ritual? Is there anything that usually happens for Enoch? Does the salt fizz? Does it drip? Does it congeal?
The salt fizzes, and it is supposed to evaporate the paints that were used for the old sigils, but recognizing that a lot of these have been scrawled in, not just painted, he knows he's going to need to be a bit more thorough, so he's got another in his satchel. He's also got essentially holy Play-Doh for kind of plastering over unholy images.
The idea of holy Play-Doh is amazing.
What colour?
It's a kind of nice, safe, reassuring greyish blue.
Yep, that tracks.
Yeah. Because the salt seems to have worked in a kind of micro-cutting way, in that basically all you've done is make the carvings brighter. Not significantly, but just they're a little more obvious against the wall than they were before.
He shakes his head and going, this isn't right. Much more work needs to be done. And he is going to bring out more of the Play-Doh to try and sort of cover over the colours. And he's going to start chanting even louder and even more furiously, try and invoke the powers of the Church of Starry Wisdom to help him overcome this evil.
Rana, Are you a religious person?
I don't think she is. I don't think she's that religious. I think she's on the ship because of the concept of being able to go to these new places. But obviously the priest has never done them wrong. Is the idea is that they've always been safe. So it's one of those things she's not too sure as to what's out there, but she knows the idea of the outer god. She knows the idea of gods in general. She knows the starry wisdom. So it's a case of she knows they exist, but also doesn't really spend a lot of time believing in them.
And what
Or worshipping
excites
them
her
specifically.
most about the room she's in right now?
The fact that it exists in the first place. Because the idea of these ships, as far as she was aware, is that they will always be there. That they exist forever, and the idea of one of them dying is incredible to her, and the fact that there is no crew, the fact that this has been gone for years, and also now that she knows that there's some wheat that they made something out of some extinct wheat.
Has she tried scanning any of the other food?
She hasn't yet, but I think she probably will do very soon. Once she's finished scrolling down all of the symbols in a line starting with starry wisdom. If she sees a pattern, she'll probably show Lavinia that pattern. But if she doesn't see a pattern or can't quite comprehend a pattern, then she will begin scanning again, I imagine.
Lavinia, you're more religious, aren't you?
I think Lavinia is practically
General religious.
She's a sort of practical religion. She knows that it's important to be religious for safety purposes. That's what all these talismans and things on her armor are for.
And how are you feeling about the symbols on the walls?
Inside, absolutely concerned. Enoch knows what he's about, and Lavinia knows to pay attention to that. But it's more important to keep the crew from getting upset, and we have to do what we're here to do. So she's wearing this mask of practical, almost brutal indifference.
What else concerns her about the room?
Everything. I don't think there's anything about this room that isn't concerning. And what is then after the list of things in the room is, well, what else might be on this ship?
What can you hear?
So, to me?
Sorry, Lavinia, what can you hear?
Well, obviously, Enoch's frenzied chanting. I think there is also a gentle kind of creaking in the background. I don't think it's unusual on board live ships.
No.
It might seem a little odd on this ship because those sounds originate from the living ship.
Yeah. And there's no way this ship could still be alive in some way after all. And just fossilized within its own skin. There's no way.
Lavinia's not thinking about that. Definitely not.
No.
I think she's going to start giving out orders. We can't all sit here and let Enoch drive us mad with his chanting, as important as it is. So I think she'll say, Rana, I want you with... Oh, no, I have to make up a name now. Yaris. Go with Yaris. Head towards the bow of the ship. And she'll give out orders to others as well about going to other places.
Okay.
Rana will be stood over the food with her scanner and go, oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, okay. Just like, and just walk off with it.
Yeah. You were scanning Dodo.
As in the bird?
The large roasted bird in front of you was Dodo, and it was killed less than 2 days ago.
This is fun.
I presume there's a way of communicating between. So what should it on as she walks off with? Sorry, what was the name again? Was it
Yaris?
Yaris. As she walks off with Yaris, she'll basically send that to Lavinia. Just be like, just with the caption, weird. and continue onwards.
Enoch.
Is that?
Oh.
Oh, sorry, I was going to ask if that was seen.
Almost. Enoch, you have been craving one food. A food that you last had as a child. Long before you took up orders, before you built this holy fervor within you. A food that makes you think of home and all the things that you gave up. What is it?
The food that Enoch craves is...
And it's a secret craving, and it's hidden, and it's shameful.
It's cheesy bread. He
Makes
has...
Shameful.
Throughout his training, his priestly training, he's been on a diet of mostly very plain soup, very plain, hard bread, and he's tried to shun all temptations. But before that time, his family used to bake really lovely, fresh, cheesy bread, the kind that's crusted on the outside and soft on the inside. But it's been so long since he's had one of those, he's almost forgotten the taste.
But you can smell it right now. The smell fills your lungs, almost engulfing you.
I think he will have to turn around and just see where it's coming from, just out of curiosity.
And of course it's on the table. And it's there, and it looks exactly as it did when your family used to make it all those years ago. You'd bet that your mother's fingerprints are even in the dough.
He sees this and it brings back so many memories of easier times, of better times. He looks at it in disbelief, just how could it possibly be here? And then he shakes himself out of that, rationalizes it surely it's some way that his dedication is getting tested, and he'll get out a light stun whip. Doesn't do any damage, but he just cracks himself over the back with it. Kind of shakes the temptation out of his head.
The moment that it connects, and just for a millisecond, you see that the table is full of rot and decay. But then it's gone. The whip disconnects, you resume. The table is still beautiful and new and delicious looking. And that's the scene.
Nice.
Interesting.
So, thank you very much for that. That was great. Could you write down in your own words what the clue was? And also tell us what card you're playing.
That, so I'm telling you and then I'm writing it down personally?
In the shared document, the clue.
Are we allowed to look at that or no?
We are.
The shared document is
Okay,
between
cool.
all of us.
I presume so. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, the shared document is horror out of time. So it's a perfectly preserved meal.
I had guessed that was the card.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I then got into the stuff on the wall and was like, oh, this is also really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So now, Dan, as the witness, you get to do fears and rationalizations. And this is a period that happens after every scene in which you out loud tell us how the witness is processing stuff, basically. You can do it as a monologue to camera. You could do it this wouldn't be suitable for the setting, but sometimes I do letters to a friend or relative or something where they express their thoughts. So it's kind of very much up to you how you want to channel that, but we need to hear what you're afraid of and how you're rationalizing that it's all going to be okay.
Okay, so in Rana's logbook, in her notebook, there'll be a page dedicated to this, and it will read something along the lines of stepped onto the Yog today, very excited. Was told to calm down. There's food everywhere, fresh food, like proper fresh food, like it's made from extinct ingredients. It can't be real, but it is. I can smell it. And the scanner picked it up. So the scanner picked up what it was made from and when it was made. They had dodo, which has been extinct forever as far as I'm concerned. The symbols, though, the priest was mad about the symbols. Maybe they're not meant to be together. Maybe the symbols aren't meant to be together. I don't fully understand, but maybe it's a projection. Maybe it's like a leftover. It's a leftover like welcome like package in the ship that's been left for like, but if anyone finds the ship so they can feel at home immediately. Maybe it's all a projection. It's all just a very clever hologram with piped in smells. I wonder how it would trick the scanner. That's really clever though. That's cool. Maybe we'll find out more. There's got to be like a server room somewhere that has this. It's gonna be fine. I'm sure.
Lovely. And now we all leap to conclusions. So I'm going to reveal an extra rule when the playing cards room will let me in. There it is. The leap to conclusions rule. So we're each going to secretly invent and write down an idea for a terrifying monster or conspiracy or a horrifying truth. And the idea has to explain the clues, in this case one clue, say who or what is behind them, and say what they're doing, why they're doing it, or what their end game is. Obviously, you haven't got anywhere near enough information to do that right now, which is why it's called leaping to conclusions. You're making up stuff, and you're going to turn out to be wrong later on, probably. But we'll use those conclusions to guide our contributions when we are narrator.
Okay. Leaping to conclusions. It's the best. It's the best thing to do here.
Absolutely. I have no idea what's going on. I'm going to need to take a little bit of thinking.
Sound of clicking keyboards. This is where we need elevator music.
But horror elevator music. So it's
yeah, of
minor.
course. So like elevator music in like a weird minor key. Yes, perfect. Thank you, older god John.
Praise
So
be.
atmospheric.
Praise be, John.
It sounds like the music in Bioshock.
Ah, it did a little bit actually, yeah. That's a good shout.
That's a good one.
It would help if I could spell, right? That's important that I could spell, right?
No.
No?
We've got spell
No.
checkers for a reason.
Yes.
Yeah, if
Thank
anyone's
you.
watching me type live, it is just... There's a lot of extra G's in there for some reason.
Gotta love an additional G.
Yeah.
There's a lot of additional G's on that wall.
Yeah, that wall is That was a
Blasphemous cheese.
Blasphemous cheese.
They're all in wingdings. It's terrible.
thing. Yeah, the wingdings are actually just the language of the outer gods. So,
Must be.
you know, when you use them, think about that, because you are summoning a lot of creatures.
I'm done with my conclusions.
As am I.
Yeah, me too.
Me too.
Super. Excellent. So we now rotate roles. It goes in alphabetical order, so that means that Dan, you are now narrator, and I am the witness. And yeah, proceed with using your conclusions to come up with some new idea.
Okay. So as Rana and her partner move through the ship, they enter a long corridor, which is not too strange to her. It makes sense. It's similar to stuff she's walked through time and time again aboard the Monette. Forgot what the name of the ship was there. But one thing that catches her eye is like a glinting light, which comes from one of the rooms through a window, and she's drawn to it.
So she's going to draw Yaris's attention to it as well, and say, "Look at that!
Yaris
blinking light.
It.
How exciting!"
Yaris doesn't see it. He says to Rana and says, "What are you talking about?"
That blinking light over there. Hello.
He looks directly at it, and you can tell he looks directly at it. But again, he shows no acknowledgement of it existing.
Okay, Yaris, is this some sort of practical joke? Because I don't appreciate that kind of thing. I know that I'm new here, but I'm not down with hazing. All right.
He turns and goes, "Look, just, all right, fine, leave me to it. All right, just take me. Maybe it's just my eyes."
Mm-hmm. Okay, sure. Whatever, Yaris. And mutters asshole under her breath as she walks in the direction of the blinking light that clearly can be seen.
Okay, Nick, would you like to play Yaris for this part? For this part,
sure.
whenever, like, not necessarily right now, but whenever you want to jump in. So she walks directly to the blinking light and she sees it's connected to a large screen which is off. And as she walks into the room, she sees there's lots of technology around. And it's clear that this would have been some sort of observatory room or some form of navigational room.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that appears to be on is this blinking light. But as she steps closer to the screen, it slowly begins to light up.
You see that, right? I turn over my shoulder to Yaris.
Just to help, Yaris doesn't see it.
I see nothing. Look, Rana, are you feeling okay? We got a lot of ground to cover, you know.
Yeah, just give me a moment, okay? Just give me a second. She's going to try and assume this is some sort of touch-activated screen. Obviously, have the confidence of the truly ignorant, and will attempt to switch on the screen.
As she goes to touch the screen, it lights up around her fingertips. So wherever she touches, a light appears on the screen. And after a little while, the lights it fills the screen completely, and it's like this hazy. So like, you know, the VCR footage of like a CCTV camera, it becomes sort of hard to see, but she can make out as she looks through. She sees the captain of the Monette. She sees Captain Volkova, but not as she's ever seen her before. She sees her without her mechanical suit. Sees her entirely as she was. And she's with friends. And it's clear that this isn't now.
think she's just watching, transfixed by this.
Yeah.
As long as Yaris lets her, she's going to carry on watching to see what's going to happen. This is amazing.
After a moment, the screen cuts, goes completely black, and then it slowly loads up again in the same pattern with the lights coming to fruition. And she also sees Lavinia, but like a young Lavinia, like just full of life, no scars, no nothing.
Wow, this is amazing, she mutters to herself. I gotta tell Lavinia about this.
As she thinks Lavinia's name, the light expands. It becomes really bright for a second, and then goes away.
Oh.
And then it comes back again in the same way. You see a very brief flash of Enoch, and then it goes away immediately. What you did notice is that was Enoch now.
Doing what he's doing, what I assume he's still doing
right
now.
Yeah.
I hope not eating cheesy bread.
Almost as if it was from your own memory.
Wow. I think she'll probably continue to attempt to wake the screen back up, because that was really interesting and I wanted to know more.
As she manages to get it to go on one more time, she sees herself boarding the Monette for the first time.
So that's what the back of my head looks like.
Yeah. It's almost as if all of this has been caught on camera by someone watching the crew. And for some reason it's on this ship. That goes away too.
I think turn to Yaris and say, you really can't see any of that.
Look, I'm trying to be patient, but we've got so much area to cover on this ship. You know, I know you like to daydream, and that's very sweet, but we've got a job to do, okay? Can we just get on with it?
As Yara says, get on with it, words in ancient writing appear on the screen. Words that Rana doesn't understand.
She just shakes her head and says, sure, man, whatever. But I'm writing this up for the captain.
Yep.
She can decide for herself. Sorry, she's not the captain, is she? She's
yeah, the leader of the salvage crew, Lavinia. As the words fade away, every room on the ship pops into view, and it's full of people. Absolutely full of people. And this is the clearest picture. And
no,
and then it goes off, and the blinking light stops.
Right, shall we?
Sure, let's go. I'm writing home about this immediately.
And unfortunately, that will be my clue.
Nice. So, what's the card?
So the card is Scenes from Elsewhere.
Oh, nice. That's one of the scenario cards.
It's very cool. I saw it. I was like, I have to do something with this. It's too cool not to.
I like that.
Scenes from Elsewhere.
Beautiful. And do you want to write down, because it's important to write down what the clue is in your own words so that we're all clear on.
For sure.
I wonder if the audience can see that you're an anonymous jackalope.
I think they can.
Oh, which one am I now? Am I still the narwhal?
Yeah, I think.
Yes. Narwhals are the best.
jackalope. Sorry.
Oh no!
It's a rabbit with horns. It's
Yes.
not a real
creature, right?
Not a real
Yeah.
creature.
Not
I'm gonna make
real.
one of those too. So.
So I do have a question about those images, which is, like, I imagine that the captain being young and not in a suit is probably quite a long time ago and might have taken place not on a ship.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I
cool. Just checking.
so it will have been I thought it mentioned where it's Lavinia where it mentions that they're from, but no, it would have been on a station, and it would have been clear that it was some form of station that I want to say that Rana hasn't been to yet.
Yeah, fine. That makes sense. As far as anything that's happened makes sense. Oh god, I've got to do my fear and rationalizations, haven't I? I think that we'll continue with the personal log. Like, I feel like this is kind of like her personal blog, actually. I think she's sort of imagining, like, people are one day going to read this when she's a famous explorer. And she writes, still on board the Yog-Sothoth, incredible scenes of weirdness which nobody else seems able to see. But I'm sure that Yaris is just messing with me. He must be. Unless this is a projection too. Yes, possible that the ship's systems are projecting weird scenes to us. We've got scenes from the past, and we've got food from the past. It's unnerving. I don't understand how the ship could know some of the things that were in those pictures. How could the ship have perfectly simulated younger-looking members of the crew? There are legends of computer systems so sophisticated that they could do things like this, but we haven't had technology like that for a long time. But then again, this is a very old ship. It seems to me that it's just images, so there's nothing to worry about. And maybe we'll see more exciting images as we go. This is actually good. I'm looking forward to seeing more. Done.
Cool.
So now we'll leap to conclusions one more time. At this point, because this is the second time you've done it, you may need to amend what you've got. It is fairly normal to tweak your conclusions in order to avoid having to really change them. And then at some point you may find that your theory breaks entirely. Good luck with that.
I guess there's not really much for me to do at this point because that was entirely from my conclusions.
Yeah, you hopefully you were right, so you don't need to change very much.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure I'm right. I'm always right. It's a state of mind, really.
Yeah, you have kind of messed my conclusions up a little bit, to be honest.
Yeah, playing this game properly. I don't know. Also, sorry, Beth, for not giving you a character, but there was only 2 characters in the scene.
That's
I didn't know what else to do.
I think it like we don't always need to be in it. I was just enjoying listening.
Cool.
Participating through active listening.
Yay.
Yeah. I'll just not give you a character next time.
That's understandable, and I'm okay with it.
You'll be Rana next time.
Yeah, exactly. Whenever you speak, I must be Rana.
Yeah, no, you'll just be unconscious the whole time. It's fine.
Smart.
Yeah. Rana passes out, and we just talk to the other crew.
What are Rana's fears? Well, she's scared that she's gonna just not wake up from this.
Yeah.
I managed to salvage my conclusions. It's all fine. I didn't need to change them at all in the end.
Good.
I've built up quite a plan now. I'm like, ooh, yeah.
It's so cool.
Yeah, I really love this game. This is so cool.
Yay.
Like collaborative storytelling is my favorite
Yes.
thing, and it's like, yeah, it's not like I love rolling dice, but I also like just talking stuff through. Yeah. Really like
Nice.
trying
I'm
to
with
figure
you
out who I can get to play
100%
this
on
with.
that. I'm so with you. I'll play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has everyone got your conclusions sorted?
Yeah, I think so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Super. So now roles rotate again. I am now the narrator, which means I need to look at my cards. Oh yeah.
Can I ask a quick question about specials?
Yes, please do.
Are they played at not at random, but do you play them during other people's turns, or do you play them during your next turn?
So it should say on the card whether it's play after a scene. You know,
Mine
like
says
sometimes during. Does it say a scene in which you're the narrator?
No.
Then you can probably play it in someone else's scene.
Interesting. Okay.
Either that or it's been badly written, but we'll find out.
Oh wow. Also, seeing as I've used a clue, do I get another clue or another card, or is that
No.
So I've only got 2 cards for the entire game. That
That's
makes
right.
sense.
Yeah. So as
that
the
makes
game
sense.
goes on, it becomes kind of easier if you build on other people's clues, unless you're
Understood.
very cunning in how you use the remaining card that you've got.
I don't think I've ever been called cunning in my life, so
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
This is so cool.
All right. Let me remind myself of these locations.
I also completely forgot that there was locations.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Nick, you're the witness.
Yep.
You are continuing towards the front of the ship, with Yaris's dismissal of your experience still ringing in your ears, and you enter a vast chamber. It has a feel like a storeroom. There's row upon row of vessels, large vessels, big enough to contain a person. Each of them is featureless, dark, and almost looks as if it could be carved out of stone. And there are hundreds of these sarcophagi stretching out around you.
All right. I think first thing Rana is going to turn to Yaris and go, "Tell me you see these."
Well, I think in the interests of spreading the roles around, Beth, do you want to be Yaris this time?
Yeah. Does he see them?
I'll tell you if you don't see something.
Okay. Yeah, I see those.
Okay, good. Well, what are they? They look like they're people size. Could it be the crew?
I guess. Yaris is just kind of looking, basically looking at his phone, waiting to kind of get through the rest of this exhibition because he has stuff that he wants to do back on board.
Okay, I guess I'll have a look at it then. All right, so I think she's now going to get her scanner out and kind of basically, if her suspicions are correct that the crew could be in here, she's going to search for signs of life.
Yeah, okay. What does your scanner look like, and how does it seem to the audience?
I guess I'm imagining it kind of like the Star Trek tricorders, only instead of flipping open, it's kind of like a block that sort of sends out a beam of light as it kind of scans objects so you can see exactly what you're scanning. So I'm imagining she's doing that to kind of cover one of the pods to see what's in it.
Okay. So inside the pod is a dead body. Dan, what does the scanner reveal to us about the characteristics of this very much dead body?
So what the scanner reveals is that it's long dead and has been for a long time. Time of death, and like the numbers on your scanner basically say like thousands of years ago. It also says that it doesn't give a cause of death. It doesn't give a cause of death at all. In fact, it says cause of death, and then there is a blank space. And underneath that, it says it shows the body is emaciated completely.
So she's looking at these readings and going, "This doesn't make sense. They've been dead for thousands of years. How could the food is fresh, but this doesn't make sense." Yaris, you must have something to say about this. How can this be dead for thousands of years and yet so many things in a ship that are recent?
Have you checked your batteries? Your scanner could just be off.
Love Yaris.
Yaris is so helpful.
Yaris
Yeah.
Yes.
I always check.
As you're pondering what on earth to do about this, you hear a noise from a few rows back amongst the sarcophagi, a scraping noise. Repeated. Just scrape. 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 It's faint. Just on the edge of hearing.
I think Rana's getting tired of relaying things back to Yaris, so she's just going to very slowly just kind of edge around the side and just see if she can pick out what it is. In fact, she'll get the scanner out and see if she can sense what it is first, if there is anything there that's making that noise.
The scanner is picking something up, some sort of reading. But it's far away from where you are, and at the moment it's just sort of picking up heat and movement, but it can't give you more detail without going a little closer.
Yaris is
Alright,
fully leaning on one of the coffins at this point and is just texting.
All right.
Perhaps that a cigarette.
Yeah. Tapping it out on the.
For comedy purposes, can one of the things just roll open and hit Yaris in the head? or just like rather than make him stumble, it'd be really funny. But
Yaris would be like, "No, nothing happened."
yeah, nothing happened. No, didn't see it.
All right. I think Rana's going to momentarily look around, see that Yaris is being completely unhelpful, and just kind of steel herself and go, "Right, I've just got to look. It's probably nothing. It's probably fine." And yeah, she's going to go a bit deeper into the darkness around the back of this sarcophagus.
Yeah. As you get further into the rows of sarcophagi, the shadows play around you like a cold blanket, and you can hear that scraping noise is getting louder now. You can feel you're getting closer to whatever is making the noise, and your scanner is starting to pick up something. You can identify which of the sarcophagi the energy readings are coming from. What do you do?
Okay, I'm going to hold it up, confirm it is this particular one, and going to go around and see if there's any kind of catch or opening, any way of seeing what's inside.
I mean, these things are, like I said, they're like stone blocks. They're entirely featureless. It's vexing. And as you're looking, there's a bang, and you feel like something is slammed against the wall of the sarcophagus from right next to your head. And then you
All
hear
right,
a voice. Rana. Rana, let me out. Help me.
She is going to turn tail and head back to Yaris and go, Yaris, I don't have time for your attitude right now. There is someone talking to me inside one of these sarcophagus. You've got to help me.
He follows her across to the sarcophagus.
Okay. So, yep, she's going to lead Yaris to the very one that's had the readings in, had the scraping noise coming from, had the conversation with. Is there any sign that there's something in there?
There is no sign. It is a featureless stone sarcophagus. And you can't hear anything either.
Just going to bring up the scanner again and just try and find anything, something that I can show to Yaris that's going to show there was something. I'm not just making this up.
I'm sorry. I hate to do this to you, but Yaris, you see nothing, and Rani, you see nothing as well. For once, you're in total agreement.
People get excited, especially on their first few missions. You see things that aren't there, you hear things that aren't there. It happens. You'll get used to it. He just sort of pats her on the back and then wanders off.
Alright. Guess I'll try and lower my expectations, I guess.
Best to.
As you're walking away from the sarcophagus, you have a sudden and compelling feeling like you recognize that voice. That voice was a voice of someone you know very well indeed. And you didn't recognize it at first because it was so very out of context. But that voice that was calling to you, it was the voice of your own mother. You're sure of it.
She is going to turn back, look straight at this stone, lifeless object, and just kind of will it to almost speak again, just thinking, surely I imagine that, surely you can't really be here.
I think, if you don't mind me taking the liberty, Beth, Yaris's voice calls very impatiently, shouting, "Come on! I've had enough of this. Get moving," from down the corridor.
We've got stuff to do.
Right. Yeah, okay, I'm coming. And yeah, she is going to turn away and follow Yaris to the next area.
All right, that's scene.
Amazing.
Nice.
The card is going to load in a second. Here it is. It's Impossible Sounds.
Oh, cool.
A sound you could not possibly hear in this place.
So, game question. So the clue cards and the special cards, are those the same for all the sets? And then the locations and characters are different with each story?
There are four or five clues in this scenario that are unique to the scenario, and then 10 cards from the main deck have been shuffled in with them. So if you play this again, you get a different set.
Oh, it's very cool. I love the way this works. It's really...
And also, I presume even the clues from different scenarios could be used for other scenarios as well. So like the scenes from Elsa one, which you said was from this scenario, could still be used in other scenarios, and it's like it becomes something else, right? So if it's like a fantasy scenario, it's a vision from the past or a vision from somewhere. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Everyone go buy this game. It's awesome.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
Like, go do it. Go on.
Buy it so we can play it. It'd be good.
Yeah.
I appreciate your enthusiasm. Keep selling. Keep selling.
What's that?
I'm going to finish writing the clue. A voice from
Yes.
inside the sarcophagus, which is sure is that of her own mother. So Nick, I feel like fears and rationalizations are really getting folded into these scenes quite a lot, but
This is
Yeah.
very cool.
go ahead and do it anyway.
Yeah. This is her latest kind of blog, her latest entry that's gonna, be part of her essentially her online memoirs. Me and Yaris continued searching the ship until we arrived at an area filled with pods, stone pods, like sarcophagi, one of those.
Mhm.
There seems to be so much my senses are telling me are going on, but also things that seem to be impossible. The things in these pods, the crew, I suppose, the readings say they've been dead for thousands of years, no evident cause of death. And yet that doesn't make sense of what I've seen already. I heard scraping noises. I heard my mother's voice. How on earth could that be? And it's just like the projections I saw earlier. Perhaps there's something. Perhaps there is something that's been watching us. How else would it know all these things? How else could it simulate my own mother's voice? How could anything out here possibly know that information? I'm going to keep looking. I'm sure there's something here that's... I just need to figure it out. I just need to figure out the pattern. All of this, I'm sure, can be rationalized with more research, more searching. We just need to keep looking.
Definitely.
That's
Cool. So if anyone needs to leap to conclusions after that, I'm sure it's all very straightforward to account for.
Yeah, no, this is just perfectly
Yeah.
normal space.
Yeah.
mine's just it's just dropped in on top of my conclusion already, and it's just adding on.
Fits.
Quite
Nice.
nice. It's quite nice.
Does
It's really
sometimes
nicely. I'm excited.
I'm conscious the time is ticking towards the
Yes.
middle mark. I don't know whether we've lost some time as well. But if people feel ready for a break, we could take one.
Yeah, I think a little break would be good.
It's
Yes.
the middle of the show. Anyway, so
Middle of the show dance.
yes.
Welcome
Oh.
back, everyone.
Mhm.
We assume that we're back. The voice of God has
Yeah.
temporarily departed.
But voice of John has gone very technologic.
Hmm.
We
Oh,
are here. We are here in our mortal forms.
Yes. Hey everybody.
Hi.
Everything is fine. Everything's
This ship isn't going to eat us all at all.
We can rationalize that. Don't worry.
Yeah, we can rationalize everything.
exactly.
I think it's perfectly normal. So is everybody happy with their conclusions?
Yes.
Excellent. In that case, I think we might need to truncate this game a bit, just because looking at the limited time, we'll see how we go. We can do at least one more part 1 scene, and then
cool.
Exciting things will happen and rules will change. So get ready for that.
Very excited.
All right.
But Nick, you are narrator. Beth, you are witness. Let's go.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. All right. So Rana, you quickly catch up with Yaris, who is power walking now. Like, yeah, he's clearly keen to just get this over with, so he can get back to the ship and
He
take care
power
of his
walks
own business.
everywhere. He never has anywhere to go, but he does it anyway.
Yeah. Just.
I do
just
not
that
like Yaris. I don't say
I guess
this
before we go.
Yeah.
I guess before we go any further, who would like to play Yaris in this scene?
I'll take him.
Yeah.
All right, great.
Everyone must have a go.
Everyone must be Yaris.
We are all Yaris.
Yeah, all Yaris. All right, so Yaris looks at, there's a kind of a map of the ship in the corner and goes, all right, let's just go to the bows up here. We'll do that and then report back. Job done. Yeah, and I'll let you voice him next time. Yeah, so you head to the frontmost room of the ship, and looking around, you see a few things. It looks like it used to be quite ornate. There's lots of kind of bookshelves with sort of reams of book and sort of models, all sorts of things like that. And you also see that there, further away, there are also remnants of old star charts. So you see that they've been partially teared off, and where the wall is now blank, you see that new charts, new coordinates have been kind of scrawled on in a similar way to the symbols in the mess hall.
I'd like to run my fingers over the scrolling, kind of feel it burnt into the wall.
Okay.
The way that it's carved in.
Yeah. So you feel along it, and it's quite rough. Almost kind of shreds the sort of outer part of your gloves in some places. It's very rough. It seems to have been done very haphazardly. And looking at it, it's kind of like when you look at it through when your eyes squint, it looks slightly different. At first, it looks like pure star charts, maps, sort of joining different star systems and different clusters together. But when you squint, it kind of looks like those symbols that you saw Enoch getting all worked up about in the mess hall.
Are they drawn as continuations on the map? Or are they fresh maps?
You do see that there is a rough kind of mesh between the original maps and the new scrolled on maps, yeah.
Okay. I think she stares at the maps and sees if she can see what's been torn down and see if there's remains of it on the floor that she can kind of hold it up for comparison.
Okay. You see that the maps that have been discarded are not familiar to you. They're not places that are on the Monette's kind of regular route.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, the ones that are, and that's when you notice the ones are left are ones that are areas that the Monette has visited.
They're familiar.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any marking that's been following the Monette specifically?
You do see that there is a deeper carving with a kind of reddish residue around. Could be blood. You might need to scan, and that is where the Monette has been going on its recent tour of duty. And when you follow it, it goes off the map onto the scrolling, and you see various kind of points, as in someone has just been stabbing this point on the map repeatedly. That is where the carcass of the dead ship Yog-Sothoth currently is, where your current position in the galaxy is.
Is there any future path?
There is not.
Rana scans the wall, sees what the red is.
It's blood, but it's not human blood.
Okay.
The scan can't verify what it is.
She looks around at the walls and the books around. Are the books in a language that I understand?
You see that the books left on the walls are sort of cultish readings that you yourself can't see the pattern between them, what makes them similar, but perhaps Enoch could. What you'd notice is that the ones that are ordained by the Church of Starry Wisdom have been discarded, along with other atheistic readings.
Okay. Can I look at one of the... Are there any books from the Starry Wisdom? Are they discarded on the floor, or are they in the shelves?
They're discarded on the floor. You can pick one up and have a read.
Yeah, I'd like to look inside.
Okay. So one you pick up has emblazoned on the front, navigating through the godful skies.
Mm-hmm.
And this shows a series of charts on what worlds are holy, what are approved by the Church of Starry Wisdom, and the histories of them when they were visited by prophets long ago. Basically, the lineage that kind of makes these worlds holy.
Okay. Right.
Can Yaris be walking around the room as well, just to see what else is around? He will ignore anything that looks like a book.
Yeah, Yaris doesn't read.
So other things that Yaris might be interested in. There's a desk in the middle of the room. On that desk there is a kind of model. There's a model ship. Pretty much the rest of the desk has been trashed, standing.
Did you see
Sorry, I think he'll lean against the desk and just look at the ship and just be like, "This is cool."
I think you mentioned that there were other ships in cabinets around. I think you mentioned that there are ships.
Right.
Yeah. So I'd like to go and look at the other ships in cabinets and see whether they're living ships or whether they're ships that I don't recognize.
So the ships you have a look at they seem to kind of go back through time. So they are all dead or desiccated ships. So you see ones that are similar to how the Yog-Sothoth looks, kind of decaying, desiccated. But then you see other different models of ships. You see some of the kind of early ones that have the kind of tentacle formation, the squid formation, but aren't as high tech, which is also dead and desiccated. Then you also see what one of these squid-like creatures looked like before they're made into ships.
So, does it look like this ship, the Yog-Sothoth, has been deliberately killed? As they've got models of... Yeah. As they have models of dead ships, as they have...
Yeah, you could surmise that it's following that pattern, yeah.
I'd like to break into the cabinet. I wrap
Okay.
fabric around my wrist and punch through the glass.
All right.
As Rana goes to do this, I think Yaris will go, no, wait, stop. Just kidding. Couldn't give a fuck.
Okay, so yeah, you break in. You see the one shipping bottle that is still intact. It's a ship that's very familiar to you.
It's our ship.
It's the Monette.
Yeah. I'd like to pick that up and take it back out to Lavinia and to Enoch.
Okay.
It's like,
All
are we
right.
done? All right, sweet. And just follow you.
Yeah.
Okay, so as
Yeah.
yeah, I think we'll call it scene there. Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Nice. I feel Yaris is getting like worse
Yaris
as
is the
time
bad
goes
guy.
on. By the end, he's just going to be there in his boxer shorts, smoking a cigar. Just be like,
Mate, do you know what? I was really hoping that you I was really hoping that Nick mentioned that there was a chair behind the desk, because I was definitely going to have him sit in it and just put his feet up on the table. 100%. Like, immediately. I was like, no mention of chair. Just let it go, Dan. It's fine.
All right. Cool. So I'm going to put on the clue I used, and I tell you what card I used, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So it was rights and customs. I went a bit off script, but yeah, that is the one that I was basing it on.
nice.
That's cool.
I think they're all suggestion cards rather than like.
Yeah,
They totally are. Yeah. Off script is totally fine.
Yeah. Oh, finding a tiny version of your own ship in a bottle, and there are all these other dead ships.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
Great. Open up the ship.
My conclusion.
Inside, there are more tiny ships.
Just pop. Just another minute.
Just like
Another minute.
Tiny ships all the way down.
Like I was again. It was just in my head. Like if Rana turns to Yaris with it, Yaris is just gonna go. Yeah, of course it looks like the Monette. They all look the same, don't they?
They still look like squids.
They're big squid ships, aren't they? Of course it looks the same.
It's a bloody giant squid. What do you expect?
Oh, what do you want out of this? Just because you're looking for answers doesn't mean there is any.
The real trippy thing is I made a ship that looked like a big squid when I was a kid.
Of course
Like
you did.
A props course. It was like, this is a living
Cool.
ship, only it's been murdered to make this ship.
Sorry, are we
about this
still
is that
talking about the
wasn't your weird-
game or real life? Because I'm not sure.
Oh,
I was gonna
like
say-
it was a little prop that I made at a course. But
I was gonna say, I love that wasn't your weird thing. Your weird thing was man that's possibly a zombie.
yeah, I mean, I've got a lot of weird stories, but it's how many of them are weird supernatural and how of them are just weird.
Hey, I never said
Lab
weird
was a strange
supernatural. I
place.
just said weird.
Yeah, the Haunted by Ducks one is also quite funny. But
Right.
All right, I am done.
Again, that slots into my conclusions so easy, so well.
yeah,
Oh, I'm loving this. This is great.
Yeah, I think that works with mine too. I have played games of this where, like, in the middle of the game, you think you've got it all sorted, and then somebody puts in a clue, and you're just like, oh no, I don't know what's going on at all.
I'm excited for that to happen on like the last round, where I'm like, oh, everything's great, and then let's get hit
now
by
there
a
are
brick wall.
clowns.
It's like, boink. Yeah.
Yeah. Can't wait.
I mean, it's painful, but then you reorient everything and get something even better, I think. So
Yeah. This is
we didn't
great.
do fears and rationalizations.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I've got to do my
Yeah,
log.
you've got it. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
have. I'm starting to think that there might be something slightly wrong with this ship. I don't quite know how to explain it. but I'm a little uneasy. We went into an old library, which you don't usually get on ships, and I mean, the route that we followed could have been followed by other ships. It could be a common shipping route for this ship at the time it was launched. It could have been the path that this ship took. But I'm not 100% certain why I have this. It's a figure of the Monette in a bottle. And it's even labeled. There's the hatch that we had to repair last year, where we could only get a yellow replacement hatch, and that's not standard. But it's it's fine. It's just you find strange things on ships sometimes, and I'll show it to Enoch. He'll do some kind of ritual and it'll all be all right. That's my log.
I love that your log is as if you've written down. It's so good.
Your memoirs are
I like voice recorders. Yeah, it's got to be.
There's a lot of laughing in the memoirs, just gradually written out. Yeah.
I'm not scared.
Little footnotes to random laughter. Right. Well, I think what we should do is, if everybody's sorted with their conclusions, is to move to part 2. You normally would do 5 scenes, but I think in the interest of time, we'll skip to part 2.
We're speedrunning this game.
We are going to discard the creeping horror rule.
Ooh.
Bye now.
And we're going to discard the no deliberate harm rule.
Oh.
So now, very deliberate harm.
We replace them, though.
Just immediately stab arrows.
With the survival and sanity rule. So the survival and sanity rule says nobody may describe deliberate psychological or physical harm to the main character, and the main character still may not die. So what you'll notice is it doesn't say you can't describe deliberate physical or psychological harm to anybody else. And also, it is possible for people to attempt to harm the main character. You just can't succeed in doing so.
Sweet.
Also, inexplicable or supernatural things may be directly observed, but only if they are unclear, ambiguous, or subject to doubt.
Amazing.
So just slightly change the bar for what we can do there. I'm also going to reveal the end game rule. At the end, I should say, of a part 2 scene, the narrator or witness may trigger end game, ending part 2 after the current chapter. They must declare that the main character will move to or deeper into a dark, isolated, ancient, or creepy place. Can't find anything like that around here. And it can either be by the narrator. They basically narrate how the main character is compelled into that place somehow, maybe like through a trapdoor opens and they fall, or they're carried away somehow. Or alternatively, if the witness does it, it will be the main character choosing to go there. And we're allowed a maximum of 3 part 2 scenes. I think we may make that 2 part 2 scenes with our time constraints. So it'll either end after this coming scene or the one after. And we'll move to endgame.
Okay.
Cool. Okie dokie.
Okay.
So Beth, you're back to being narrator.
I am. Okay. I'm just thinking I want to divide. So Dan is runner again. Do you want to go back to being Lavinia and Enoch? that be all right?
Absolutely fine with
Yeah,
me.
sure.
Yeah.
As the same person playing same character.
Yeah, I think that would be good.
Yeah.
Okay. And then do we play our clue, or do we decide what to play or to build?
So it's exactly the same as the part 1 scenes, except
Nice.
those rule changes. Yeah.
Okay. Brilliant. Okay. So Rana walks back along the corridor to the mess hall to find it just a little dimmer. The lights are almost on the edge of flickering, like when they're about to start flickering before they die, but they're not quite there. So there's this tiny, uneasy buzz building. Enoch is gripping the edge of the table and staring at the food. And Lavinia is pacing frantically.
Okay.
Lavinia wheels to face Ron when she arrives and says, "What took you so long?"
Okay. So, she'll run up to Lavinia pretty much at pace. There's so much has happened. She's like, I can't tell you all of it in one go, but here is a ship that is the Monette. And she'll hand it to Lavinia and go, we found that in a library on a ship. There's a library on this ship.
It's a bit generic.
It's the Monette. It's even got, the hatch that we repaired not too long ago. It's there, look, and she points at it.
It could have the hatch if you sort of squint and use all your powers of
This is
The yellow
very,
one.
very interesting, Rana. Thank you for bringing this to me.
Also, the charts. So they had star charts, and it tracks our flight path. It tracked our path to here, and they there's dots where the where we are right now on this ship. Did Rana take those charts, or did she take it?
No,
it was on the wall, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, you're right. And I didn't. They're on the wall. I can show you.
You realize that Yaris was in front of you when you walked towards this room, and he didn't walk into the room.
She whips her head round and she goes, Yaris, you.
Nope.
Where's Yaris?
Am I to understand that you've come back here without him?
No, I came back here with him. He was leading me. He's been very keen to get back onto the Monette.
He even pushed the door open as you walked in. You think?
She'll shake her head and she go, yeah, he opened the door for me. He opened the door. He let us both in.
You have blood on your hand. Not a lot. You think you might have cut your hand somewhere?
I can explain that.
It's just a little. It could be a paper cut. It's not anything significant.
Yeah. So I mentioned the charts that were on the wall. I sort of run my hands over them. I must have caught my hand.
There's no blood on his hands. Her hands.
Rara, I'm worried about you. You seem to be being affected by the environment here. It's
all the weird
not for
stuff
everyone.
going on.
This kind of the salvage occupation, it involves going into a lot of creepy places, and maybe you're just not cut out for it.
Look, come on, no, look. We need to, once we find Yaris, he'll tell you about the ship. He'll tell you everything in the chart room. He's been playing pranks with me this entire time. So there was a screen that opened up and it showed me a bunch of images, and we saw a mausoleum. There's all the old crew in there. And my mum.
Enoch, how are you doing with the bread?
Will not give in to temptation. I am strong. This is here to tempt me from the righteous path. I shall not take it.
You feel splinters in the table digging into your fingers. The table seems to get closer, bigger, until you're almost engulfed. Lavinia, you are watching a man grip a table and a woman try and clean non-existent blood off of her gloves.
Well, Lavinia is getting quite worried and is seriously considering sending them both back to the Monette. We have to complete our salvage mission here, but we don't need to do it with these two.
The door's locked. The door back to the ship has been closed. You don't know if it was while you weren't looking. You don't know if it did it as some kind of safety feature, but it's closed.
Okay. Monette, this is Lavinia. What's going on?
Static. A high-pitched hum and static.
Lavinia would know what to do in this situation. Definitely. Alright. We're going to need to fetch some tools. This may take a little while.
You're alone. Enoch, you are in your mother's house. You're small again. You're a child. In front of you, you see she looks young. She looks much younger than when you saw her last. Much younger than when you received the news of her passing 30 years before. And she puts the plate of bread down in front of you. And why wouldn't you eat?
Why wouldn't I eat?
So eat.
I take a mouthful of Mother's delicious home-baked cheesy bread, and it is as delicious as I remember.
Lavinia, you see Enoch take the bread into his hands and bite into it, and from it comes a cloud of green dust as it crumbles into mold in front of you. And you see Enoch cram as much of it into his face as possible and begin to dig in to the food on the table, which is all crumbling and cracking under his grasp.
I think she swears and goes to try and hold him down, hold him back, and is shouting, "Rana, help me stop him! Look, he's lost it."
Scraping things into his mouth now that aren't even food, that don't even resemble food. He bites down on a fork and it pierces his cheek.
Rana's just gonna grab his hands and be like, just try and take anything out of his hands, just completely like pull them away from his mouth. Just anything that he can do.
Between the two of us, we can pin him down, surely.
Nostalgia is strong. But you eventually manage to subdue him. And he passes out. All you can see are the whites of his eyes. He's twitching, convulsing a little, very lightly. He's not a well man.
Rana, I'm afraid we need to do something to get ourselves back onto the Monette now. It's clear that the situation's out of control.
It's clear that Lavinia doesn't really understand the significance of what's been going on. The bottle, the maps, everything's brought you here. This is where you're supposed to be. You can't turn back now.
I need you to look after Enoch. Make sure that he doesn't hurt himself if he wakes up.
Enoch,
Can you stay here and look after him for me?
Lavinia, what do you see in the jar? Do you see the Monette?
Look,
Be honest with me. Do you see the Monette?
it could be the Monette. Of course it could, but it could be any number of ships.
No, it's
They're
not.
built
It's
on a
not. It could be. It's a definitely is.
All right. Let's just say you're right. Okay? Let's say it is the Monette. That doesn't change anything. Look at what's happening around us. It's time to get back to the Monette to safety, and we can review what's happened, and we can come back with more people.
Do you know what happens when one of those ships dies? It's very rare. It happens every few thousand years. It takes a lot, and a lot of energy is released. It becomes almost a beacon, the sort of thing that attracts the outer gods from their home in the darkness towards you. The death of a ship is a sacred thing, a sacred task. And you wonder if that's why you're here. If that's why you've brought the Monette here. You think perhaps you've been influencing the ship in small ways, not ways that anyone would know, would notice, but putting one job on top of another in the pile, shifting coordinates by a degree or two, just, you're not sure why. Just something that happens from time to time. And now you're here. And this is the first time you've felt right in a long time. Lavinia is threatening this. What are you going to do?
Look, I know you've done this a lot, and I get it. I get it. Call for medevac. Call someone to come on and come get Enoch. Come look for Yaris. We need to figure out. We need to be here. We can't turn back. This is, and if you don't see it, because you don't see it, in the same way that Yaris didn't see it when the screen turned on, he didn't see it. I need to be here. And I'm gonna find out what's going on with this ship, and you can either help me or you can stay here and look after Enoch. I'm sorry, I know this is insubordination, I get it, and that's fine. Like, you can throw me out the airlock later, I don't really care. But this is we're supposed to be here, Lavinia. We're supposed to be here.
You hear your mother's voice from the depths of the ship.
I'm gonna go save my mum. All right.
You remember, as a child, the rituals that you did behind doors, the secret. Well, you weren't even allowed to call it religion, but the traditions you had at home. And you think of how proud your mother would be right now. You wonder how she got here. And then you walk into the dark. And that's the scene.
I think I'd like to play endgame at this point.
Yeah.
Because the whole point, definitely Rana walking into the dark of her own volition, 100% we're moving into this end game. Like definitely, if everyone's cool with that, I want to invoke that definitely as the witness.
Yeah.
Super. All right, nice. So we still do the usual after scene stuff, fears and rationalizations, and then.
Okay. So Rana is scribbling in a notebook at this point. Like it's not the practice writing that if anyone looked at her notebook, it's not practice writing in any way, shape, or form. It is just thoughts. The first one is Yaris is gone. Enoch is going. Lavinia wants us to go. I need to stay. I need to get my mum. I don't know why she's here, but she is, and I need to go get her. And we're supposed to be here. This is all part of a plan. This is a plan. We're in the right place. This is correct. This is all good. This is what we're supposed to be doing. They don't see that. They don't see it. They don't see any of it. They didn't see any of it ever, like throughout this entire process. Yaris didn't see it. Yaris didn't see anything that I saw. I'm supposed to be here. Maybe they're supposed to go home. And that'll be it.
Oh, what was the clue, by the way? That needs to go in the...
I didn't have a clue. I had a special, which was a portal. Well, I was kind of drawing them into another part of the ship. It's shifting sands, but it was, I was working off of the clues that we were given before, really. Yeah.
Cool. That's great.
And made Enoch eat all the food.
Yes. Enoch must eat food. Let the man eat.
Oh,
It's
poor
mold.
Enoch.
Yeah.
It's so yummy.
He's having a great time.
Yeah. Let them eat mold.
Yeah, such a good time.
Right, super. So, anyone who wants to can update their conclusions, although I sense we may not need to. I'm going to flip over all the roll cards because in the next bit we won't need them.
Ooh.
Cool.
Also, the rolls rule that mandates the rotating of non-existent rolls. Just going to find the right bit of these cards. So we're now entering a part of the story called The Journey into Darkness. And it's made up of 16 steps. And in each step, the active player will just describe in a few sentences either the environment, moving deeper into darkness, or the main character's fears and rationalizations. Those are the only two options. You're neither a narrator nor a witness or a whisperer for these purposes. And then, because there are no whisperers, there's no elaboration or question answering or playing of secondary characters either. So we will take turns as before. The active player was Beth, so that means the active player is now down. You get the first step. And we will accelerate the story through these steps. When we get to it's coloured in wrongly on the board, but it's the 13th step, it will become possible to end the journey into darkness by having us arrive at a dark, ancient, creepy, or isolated place where the final horror can take place. So from 13th step onwards, if you want to, you can narrate that arrival and end the journey. If we get to the 16th step, whoever's turn it will be has to do that.
Cool.
And then we'll have the final horror. One last thing, we're not supposed to introduce new clues during the journey into darkness. Sometimes that can be a little bit tricky, but basically try and work with what we've got rather than adding new stuff, otherwise it can get quite hard to do the final horror.
Understood.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I will move the little counter around the track as we go so that we can hopefully keep track of where we are.
Amazing. Okay, so Rana just books it. Basically, she heads back down the corridor the way that she thinks she heads back down the corridor towards the mausoleum where she first heard her mum's voice. She doesn't. She goes a completely different way. It's almost as if the ship is opening and closing doors for her as she moves further into the ship. She thinks that she needs to get to some form of control mechanism to figure out what's happening with the ship and to fix it. The memory of Yaris is gone. The memory of Enoch is gone. Lavinia is a distant memory. They're no longer important to her. She trudges on down this hallway, following the ship's orders. That's me.
That means it's my turn. As she is making her way down the seemingly unfamiliar corridor, she notices the symbols on the walls look different to her now. And where before she couldn't understand them, didn't recognize them, now she feels as though she does. Now she's sure that she's able to read them. And what she sees are the names of people that she has known. Some of them alive, some of them dead, and some of them strangely reminiscent, like people with surnames she recognizes but names that she doesn't, as if they might be names of long dead ancestors or relatives.
She keeps going through the darkness, following where the ship wants her to go. She sees more of these names, people from her past, people she can't remember how she knows them, but she knows them. And it all seems to be part of the same journey. Eventually she sees names of companions. She can't quite remember how they're important to her. There's Lavinia, there's Yaris, there's Enoch. Who they are doesn't matter anymore. The important thing is that they lead her to this point. She emerges from the darkness through a set of doors in front of her into a room that she has never been in herself, but looks familiar to her. It is almost exactly like the helm of the Monette. But while the rest of the ship is in ruins, this is pristine, more beautiful than she can ever imagine, glistening, shiny, fully functional, waiting for her.
Her hand brushes the wall, where it should be cold steel. She feels warm flesh under her fingers. She feels a pull, a magnetism. There's a space here for her. A space that she recognizes as a space she has always occupied. Will always occupy.
As she looks through, she reads more of the symbols, and one of them sticks out to her. It's the same symbol pattern that she saw on the screen. She now understands it. It says, "Save them. Restart. This is yours."
She pauses for a moment and thinks, and is almost shaken out of this reverie for a moment. How did I get here? Why did I come here? What made me think this was a good idea? I'm deep within this alien ship. Who knows what could happen to me now? But it's too late to turn back. It's too late now.
She feels a hand on her shoulder, accompanied by a very familiar voice. It's all right, darling. You're exactly where you need to be. This is your home now. She looks up to see a mother standing over her, giving her a sweet smile and nodding knowingly to her.
She turns her head and doesn't see her mother's eyes, which reflect the night sky, which are deep and black and full of stars, and not stars that she knows, not stars that she or anyone she knows or any human has ever seen. The hand grips her shoulder tighter and guides her towards the seat, kindly but firmly.
Rhonda looks in front of her. She sees apparatus. Just all manner of ways of flying a ship. As she looks, the blinking light returns. She looks up to it, and the screen illuminates. It shows a warning. Something's wrong. Without thinking, she stands up. She walks over to a panel and rips it open. She sees the beating heart of the machine. She's not an engineer. She knows exactly what to do.
Placing her hands on the heart, she feels the pulse of life within. Hot, slick, alive. It's almost a moment of reverie for her as she stands there, feeling the life beneath her hands.
There's no need for words. She can understand this living, breathing thing precisely through this connection. She knows it is sacred, that it must be protected. She hears alarms go off at another panel. She goes to it and sees red dots on a radar that seem to be closing in on the center of this map, on the core of this beautiful creature. She knows they mean it harm, and she knows she must protect it.
She sees one single button now. Out of pattern with the rest. A little newer, a little shinier. And it's red. And it blinks. And it blinks. And what it says is burn.
This is the step from which we can end the journey, just FYI.
Okay. She hammers the button. She watches the red blinks disappear one by one. She looks across. And she almost wills the ship to open all its doors. Especially the one to the Monette. She speaks out loud. Captain, you are needed aboard the Yog. All crew board the Yog.
And her mother's voice from behind her says, "That's right, my darling. You've done exactly what you needed to do. You came here to bring them here. Now you've fulfilled that mission. I'm so proud of you." And the voice is her mother's voice, but it is somehow different too, somehow something more, something inhuman. I think I might call that the ending. We haven't arrived somewhere, but I feel like with the doors opening, we're poised for a final scene.
I was going to ask if I could interrupt.
Okay.
Because I have an idea for what happens with the horror.
For the final horror?
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
I don't know what the rules are, but I just wanted to just put that out there.
Yeah, cool. So this is the bit where we indeed can do the final horror. Now, technically, because he's next in order, Nick gets first dibs.
Hmm.
So the idea is at this point, we will run a final scene. There will be an epilogue afterwards, by the way, so just have that in mind. But we have a final scene in which the horror is revealed to us fully by one of us. One of us will take their conclusions and make those conclusions real. Whoever that person is becomes narrator. The person next in the alphabet from them becomes witness, and the rest of us will be whisperers again. We are discarding the safety and sanity rule. It is no longer relevant. So the witness can die. The weirdest of weird things can happen unambiguously and clearly. And we'll see what happens to the witness, whether they make it out or not. So Dan is obviously very keen to do this, Nick, but you do get first dibs if you feel ready.
I do not have Dan's confidence, so I'm gonna pass.
So I'm just thinking alphabetically. Technically, we would go through everybody, so Beth would get a chance as well.
Can I play Rana?
I think that's fine. People are feeling keen to do stuff. So Dan, why don't you take the narrator role and Beth can be on this? That is technically not the way that we would do it, but that's absolutely fine with me. I'm quite tired, so I'm very happy to sit and watch you go crazy. You're not at all. It's fine.
Okay. So all of the ship's doors do indeed open. And the crew file into the Yog. As they do, what appears to be like metallic like tentacles burst out of the ship's walls. They are grabbed by these tentacles and pulled into the ship's walls. Each one immediately losing consciousness. And with each one that gets pulled in, the ship starts to beat. Starts to become alive again. Turns itself on. The screen says, "Take your place." And the chair in the center of the room lights up. Rana.
I was always supposed to be here. I sit down.
As she sits down and she places her hands onto the arms of the chair, there's an immediate sense of relaxation. It's complete control. All of the screens light up. She can see everything. She sees the captain. She sees Lavinia. She sees Enoch. She sees Yaris. All of them part of the ship.
We were all supposed to be here.
The suit that Lavinia was in lays empty on the floor. The ship hums. The tentacles spread. And she flies once more. A small metallic prick bursts into the back of Rana's head. Well done, my darling.
Rana smiles. Her eyes black and filled with stars.
And so she remains the captain of the Yog. That's it.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's great.
Ah, amazing. Oh, yeah.
Great job.
Oh.
We're not quite done
No.
because we have an epilogue. After the final horror, the rolls pass twice. So that's going to leave Nick and I doing the epilogue.
Yep.
And because we've messed with the order, I no longer know who's doing what. But I think it's logical to me that we've sort of reversed order. So I think Nick, you would be the narrator and I would be the witness. If that's okay with you.
Yep, sure.
And what we have to do basically is describe for the witness. They describe the main character's life after the final horror or their legacy after their demise, and the narrator describes how the horror still impacts the world or how its seeds have survived to spread in future. So this is kind of, had the horror somehow been defeated, this would be the bit where we find out that it had like left eggs or what have you. So, but as it hasn't, this is going to be quite a different epilogue, I think.
Yeah.
It is up to us to work it out. We're allowed to interleave our descriptions or do them one after the other. We can do it as a montage. We can do it as, sometimes I've seen it done as a series of newspaper articles.
That's
very
cool.
much about figuring out what you think is the best way to show that kind of longer term impact.
Okay. Yeah, I think I've got something.
Nice.
So, years later, we turn our attention to a new ship, a new living ship. Similar design to the Monette, but with several enhancements, upgrades over time. And this ship is called the Bancora. They're on a mission to investigate a salvage ship and salvage a ship that lost contact a while ago whilst on a mission. Eager to go on this mission is a young salvager called Nathan. That is the role I'd like to assign to you, Josh. So they find this this dead ship and begin the docking procedure. The tentacles of the Bancora open up, latch itself onto the ship. An opening is established, and there is a link to this derelict ship. Nathan is part of the salvage party. Can you describe his thoughts and experiences upon getting to start on this illustrious mission?
Absolutely. I think Nathan makes his way through the ship much as Rana did, and one thing after another seems strange and out of place to him, just as it did to her. When he reaches the sarcophagus room, though, he hears the voice calling to him, and he recognizes that voice not as his mother or anyone he's seen for a long time, but rather it's the voice of Rana Kora, his old friend from school. They trained together. They both grew up hoping to be explorers, and she went off into the stars, and he hoping to find her. And we see him walking deeper into the shadows of the mausoleum, heading after that voice, but we don't see him return.
And scene.
Yeah.
This is so cool.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So good.
Yay!
Yeah.
Yay.
We
Well
killed
done, everybody.
everybody.
Well done,
Yay.
everybody.
Right.
Thank you, God of Streams, John, for the music.
Yeah.
That
Well,
was
we're-
incredible at that bit.
We've still got one more thing to do, and that
Yep.
is to share our conclusions, because I feel sure that even though we seem to be quite on a similar page, each person probably had their own ideas, and only one person got to do the final horror. So now is the time to just kick back and say, I'd like to know what the final horror really meant to you, obviously, but also for each of the rest of us to just say what we had in mind and what our final horror would have been. Who wants to go first?
Should I get mine out of the way just to explain my thought processes,
Yeah.
and then you guys can go ahead from there. So my conclusions from the first moment was that the ship was still alive. And originally I put that it had been taken over by one of the outer gods. The idea being that it was laying dormant because it had to use its crew for fuel. Hence the mausoleum, and now it seeks a new crew. And then as we got further on, I wrote down the ship needs Rana to restart it, and that the god is able to access the memories of the crew, of anything docked. So it was the whole point is that it basically was able to the god or the ship, basically it was how it ended up becoming, was more the ship as opposed to the god. And then I wrote perhaps the Monette is needed to kickstart the dead ship, which I've completely ignored. and my last conclusion is this is Rana's ship. The idea being that she should be captain of this ship, and the idea being that what was I going to say? I literally a minute after I said it, I should have said the ship renames itself the Yog-Sothoth. But what was great was Nick then said that pretty much. I was like, yes, this is so cool. This is awesome. But yeah, so the idea being that the ship was calling out for a new crew to start again.
Yeah.
And it needed the people to fuel itself, and it needed someone to pilot it. So the horror was the ship all along. Was my conclusion.
The friend we made along the way.
Was the friend was the tentacled friend we made along the way, and are now a part of forever and ever. Amen.
Yeah, it's like a big hug.
Yeah.
Forever.
Big eternal hug.
Yeah.
So that was my thought process, and then it was like when it was just like everyone was kind of like the all the various things. I was like, yep, nope, this has to happen now in my head. I was like, yep, this makes too much sense.
Yeah.
Gotta just let it out.
Nice. Well, mine was pretty wildly different, I think, actually.
That's cool.
In my first conclusions was the ship is inhabited by the dead spirits of the crew, who've been in a state of undeath this whole time, having died and been reborn in some weird other world the ship visited. And the illusions that they're experiencing are here to draw in the living to partake of dead stuff so that they become undead themselves, because the dead wish everyone to join them. And as the game went on, I sort of started thinking, well, it's not just kind of dead people as such from the crew, but actually everyone who has ever died is in some sense kind of plugged into the ship. It's been to the realm of death and it's brought back the spirits of the dead who want to just make everybody join them. And that it shares the memories of all of the dead as well. And that's why we were seeing all the kind of people being young and all of that stuff.
That's so cool.
So yeah, I think if I got my final horror, it would have been probably the mausoleums opening up and the dead claiming their own, something like that.
Yeah.
That would have been very cool. That's very cool. I like that.
I was leaning into thinking about the cult a lot. So the cult who are seeking to bring back the outer gods. And they had ritual meals of long dead creatures to bring themselves to a heightened state of consciousness, which inadvertently also, wheat being what it is, turned into an aggressive hallucinogen through which the ship was kind of controlling them a bit better. So Rana had inadvertently imbibed some of the hallucinogen, which is why she was seeing stuff that other people weren't. And the ship is kind of using the telepathic link with its captain to drive her along, because they didn't say they said that people don't know how the captains control the ships.
Yeah.
And then she's required to complete the ritual of the ship being reborn.
That's
awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah, I connected to the idea quite early on that that the ship had some sort of psychic ability to kind of read people's thoughts, desires, histories, and essentially what it was trying to do was trying to get it to consume this material that would kind of make them more compliant and more malleable, essentially turn them into thralls. Yeah, and that kind of developed into sort of how they use the thralls, like, and the line of ships was kind of all the previous people had been drawn in because they were using the intelligence of the universe, of the kind of fleet structure to try and figure out where different ships were and how to kind of subtly direct them so that they came to this point.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. For the final horror, I was really torn between Rana trying to sort of break out the last moment and the ship just it being too late, and so the ship just kind of takes her sort of willingly or unwillingly. I was torn between that or Rana is the final horror, and it's just everyone else trying to just fight for their survival while she uses the ship against them.
Yeah, that's also very cool. I think after hearing everyone's in my head, I'm like, it'd be really cool if that's how the ships make more ships. Like that's how the ships reproduce.
This is how a ship is born.
Like the whole point is that ship is now reborn, but the Monette becomes part of that fleet.
Yeah.
Like the idea is that's how these ships have been born, and they fly because they fly. Like they are because they're living things, and they seek to reproduce. It's like that's really cool.
Definitely in my head after your final horror, there must have been loads of those ships out there.
Yeah,
because every one of them had that same thing happen to them.
Yeah.
It feels like a kind of nice hubris of mankind. Like, as a species in this universe, we're thinking that we are using these creatures to travel around space, but really they're using us.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. We're their fuel source. It's very Matrix, which I it's very that sort of idea. But the idea being that I love that as a concept, because it is the whole these are just tools. Like they're not like they don't think for themselves. We need to pilot them, and it's like no, they very much think for themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Turns out.
Oh man, that was so much fun.
Yeah, that was
That was
really
great.
fun.
Yeah, thank you,
God.
everyone. It was really good.
Go buy this game. I've said
Buy
it before.
it,
Go buy
seriously.
it. We have.
Yeah.
Go buy
Literally in
it.
the break, multiple of us bought the game because we were like, well, I need a copy of this in my life.
Yes.
This is how I get people to back my Kickstarters. I just go around like running the game for people, and then it's the only way.
Do you know what? It is the best marketing tool. I love it. That is far better than a billboard, isn't it? Like,
It's quite time consuming, but apart from that.
Yeah. What are the details of your Kickstarter? How long is it running?
Yes.
Yeah, so it is technically not a Kickstarter. It is a backerkit. We're on backerkit crowdfunding, and it is running until the 9th of November.
Nice.
So when this goes live, there'll be like 2 weeks left or something, 2.5.
Amazing.
Yeah. 21 days or something like that. 21, something like that. Yeah, you got a bit of time. You got time, guys.
Yeah, and you can get the game as a fully virtual set that you can play online like we did, or a box set full of cards that you can play at your home, or you can get a very good deal on both combined.
I'm gonna get a box set because I like to have the cards.
There are lots more scenarios where this came from.
It's gonna go back here somewhere.
Yeah.
It's definitely gonna be in this background somewhere when I get it.
I want to see that. I want to see that. Oh, there's so many things I could say about it now, but it's probably wrong to go on. Go and have a look at the page. There are many great secrets, special invisible arts, loads more scenarios, lots of cool stuff.
An absolute ton of scenarios. I was like, how are we going to choose?
Yeah.
It was.
It's the best thing, commissioning other people to write stuff.
And the thing is also, it's not even the scenarios, right? You can make it up yourself because it's all we could have just started at the beginning and just made up our own start, right? That's the thing.
Yeah, we 100% could. Although I really love playing in someone else's scenario, I have to say.
Oh, that's so good. There's so much information in 8 cards, 9 cards.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, exactly, right. And I forgot a bunch of it. Like I completely forgot that I should have gone to a location.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, when I did mine, I was like, I'll just make one up. No,
I made up a location as well.
Yeah.
I was like,
we definitely all did.
It's the vibe and the this is a very vibey scenario.
You have to go to the locations that exist that you can go to.
It's so good. That was so much fun.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
I hope it's as fun to watch as it was to play, because that was even if it's like half as fun to watch.
Yeah.
You'll have a ball. You have a ball with this. That was fun.
So good.
Awesome. Well, I think I'm meant to do some sort of an outro. It says here I should reintroduce myself on my podcast. So I've been Josh Fox. I remind you that I am part of the Black Armada Tales podcast. We have actually played Lovecraftesque on there as well. So if you want even more Lovecraftesque play, you can go and listen to that. More horror.
And it's part of the crew.
A story set in Whitby, which is sort of like a giant squid shaped ship. But
I mean, I've been there. It's pretty tentacly.
Yeah, 100%. So let's do alphabetical again. Beth, tell us where you're from.
I'm Beth Crane. I'm from the podcast We Fix Space Junk, and you can hear me there, or you can see me on this show sometimes. My social media is mostly Beth K. Crane. I do Beth K. Crane art if you want to see my really weird Sylvanians. And listen to my show if you want to. You don't have to.
Do it.
But you can.
You do have
to. Do it, or the ship will take you.
Yeah.
Dan?
I'm still Dan. And I'm part of the Brit Twits. There's 3 of us. We play video games. Going to be moving into TTRPGs. I'm definitely going to play this when I get this with the boys, because Alex, who's one of the guys, he has an insane imagination. It'd be really fun to watch him figure this stuff out. It'd be great fun. You can follow us on everywhere pretty much. Brit_Twits or Brit Twitser, which is really annoying because they changed it to X now, so I have to figure out a new name.
I mean, it's called Twitter, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Twitter, right?
It
it's
is.
Twitter.
Yeah.
You can follow us on everything. Give us a shout. We love to chat. So and this is my first time on Actual Play UK, and I've loved this. This has been great.
It's so good, isn't it?
Yeah, it's amazing, and I'm really excited to do more. I'm in the Heart game, which is happening in November, which I'm super excited about. So yeah, you'll see me on here again, hopefully, unless everyone hates me.
Silence.
You get absorbed by the stream, I think.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, I am still Nick Munro Turner. I am very, very new to this scene, so hopefully I've been all right.
Yeah, you've been great.
Oh, thank you.
2 thumbs up.
Yeah.
Oh,
well deserved.
Oh, thank you. But yeah, I am the founder and creator of Rogue Octopus Gaming Lab, which at the moment is a Discord group where we kind of playtest games and basically help trying to spotlight some really good creators like Josh here, and we also write reviews. This is more for my side project Keen Gamer, which have a look at that. You'll see a review of Lovecraftesque 2nd edition coming up, and you'll also see reviews for lots of other cool stuff.
Sounds awesome.
Very cool.
Nice. I'm sure there will be social media links and things in the thing, so I'm not going to try and remember what mine are. But suffice to say, you can follow us. We make other games as well. And I should have said, by the way, Lovecraftesque is not just my creation. I wrote it with my partner, Becky Annison, and you can also follow her. She is in bed. I am not. I soon will be. Don't forget to...
Come on, let's get her out
Shall I go down there now? I'll bring the camera around and just point it in her face.
Yeah.
Hey,
I think she'd
sweetheart.
love that. Yeah.
Everyone
Look, here's
really
the people who
enjoyed
really
your
like your game. Don't forget to subscribe to Actual Play UK, and don't forget you can find Actual Play UK on Twitter and Instagram at Actual Play UK, all one word. There are even more Actual Play UK streams coming up, and there's some pretty cool looking stuff here. We've got Delta Green, the continuing campaign on Thursdays. Coming up in October the 3rd, we've got The Final Girl. October the 30th and 31st, Shiver. November the 3rd and 10th, already mentioned, is Heart. Very cool game.
Yeah.
I'm in that one.
November the 17th to 24th is 13th Age, because we're no longer in Halloween territory, so it goes on to something less spooky.
13th Age was my first ever game.
Really?
It was my first ever
Really?
RPG.
Wow.
Yeah. We did a campaign based on my friend's podcast, run by a different friend, and I cried so much at the end of it.
That's so cool.
At the beginning, it was amazing, and the middle it was just amazing. It was great.
Mine was forfeited for my sins. So
Crunchy.
yeah.
Well, I will now ask you to say goodbye to the viewers in the traditional way of frantically waving.
Yes.
Bye.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you on the stream, God. We love you. Ah.